Today we're covering Mitsubishi's new line of KX series one-way ceiling cassettes that are in the 454B refrigerant, and it's replacing Mitsubishi's old series, which was in the 410A, which was the KP series. Now there are a lot of similarities, but there are some differences, and today we're going to be covering all of it. Now the KX series is broken up into a couple different BTU sizes. So this on the table we have is a 6,000 BTU one-way ceiling cassette, and it also comes in a little bit larger of a size in 9,000 BTUs, 12,000 BTUs, and 18,000 BTUs, with 9, 12, and 18 all being the same dimensions. Now the unit on this table is a 6,000 BTU one-way ceiling cassette in the KX series, which is a multi-zone only compatible indoor unit, which means it has to connect to an outdoor unit that has more than one indoor unit connected to it at any given time. Now the 9,000, 12,000, and 18,000 BTU one-way ceiling cassettes in the KX series are both single zone and multi-zone compatible, which means that they can work independently with one indoor connected to one outdoor, as well as in a multi-zone application where there's multiple indoors connected to one outdoor unit. Now these ceiling cassettes are known to perfectly fit in ceilings that have 16 on-center joists, and they can be used for both retrofits in rehabs as well as in new construction. These one-way ceiling cassettes are sleek and they do work in one way. That's part of the title, that they're one-way ceiling cassettes. And to explain why they're called one-way is because they only have one louver that is operating in a 90-degree fashion, rather than another ceiling cassette, which is the AF series, which is 4 different air directions. That's more of a squared design, whereas this is a rectangular design with airflow only coming out of this one louver. A question that we get with these one-way ceiling cassettes is, can they be installed in cathedral ceilings where there's a slant? And unfortunately, the answer is that these systems need to be installed on flat level ceiling surfaces. Now, if you have the opportunity to create some form of a level surface within your cathedral ceiling, that would be the most recommended. But these ceiling cassettes do need to be installed on a level ceiling surface. Now that we see how the KX one-way ceiling cassette actually looks like from the outside, let's look at how it's packed together and then see the content inside. So before we get into what's inside the one-way ceiling cassettes, we wanted to look at the packaging on the outside. So this is a 6,000 BTU one-way ceiling cassette in the KX series, and this is the 12,000 BTU one-way ceiling cassette. Now within the KX series, it ranges from 6,000, goes to 9, 12, and then 18,000 BTUs. Those are the only sizes available, and they're only gonna be in these 2 sizes. But before we get into the inside, we just wanted to look on the outside here. So they're packaged here pretty nicely. You can see the angle as well, where you have the indoor unit component, and then you also have grills that go on top of the ceiling cassette that go flush mount with the drywall. So the KX series one-way ceiling cassettes come in 2 separate packages. You have the main indoor unit component that goes into the ceiling, and you have a decorative panel that is also called a grill that lays flush mount with the drywall. That is part of the installation of this one-way ceiling cassette. So we have the packaging here for both the larger size, the 9, 12, and 18,000 BTU grill, as well as a grill for the 6,000 BTU one-way ceiling cassette. And you can see the difference here when we turn this, of the difference of size, where the 6,000 is a lot smaller than the grill for the 9,000, 12,000, and 18,000 BTU one-way ceiling cassettes in the KX series. So when we take the template off and we see what's the contents inside the box, we're first met with this bag that has a remote control sleeve where the remote controller slides in here. We also have batteries for the remote controller themselves, as well as a baggie full of hardware. Now the different pieces of hardware in here are a bracket for the installation refrigerant lines, 2 of them, as well as some washers that have foam on them, and some without, in order to better and easily install the ceiling cassette in a suspended way using all thread or suspension rods, whatever you're using, as well as some screws, both to install the remote controller sleeve here, as well as some other accessories while you're doing the installation. One other accessory that's in here is the actual remote controller that's here in this little baggie. So when we take it out, you can see once you put the batteries in here, then it'll operate, but it has a sleeve here that you pull down that gives you access to the mode, the fan, the ability to be able to control the vanes so that they go left or right, a schedule, pretty much everything that you need would be right here. And so this remote controller, once you put the batteries in it, you can keep it anywhere in the room. It doesn't require you to keep it somewhere visible since it's not a thermostat, it's just a remote controller. But once you put the batteries in it, you can either install it in the sleeve or place it anywhere in the room where you'd like. And last but not least, we have the drain extension. So here it's a longer piece of drain extension. This is the side that connects to the actual indoor unit. Here on the side where the refrigerant lines go in as well. And on this side, this is where you would connect your 3/4 PVC, whether it's thin wall or Schedule 40. So this is a flexible drain hose. So if your drain pipe is a little bit higher or lower, or if it's straight, you can bend it any way that you need for your installation application. So that's the last of the accessories on the top. Now, when we turn this unit on its side, you'll see this packaging here. And when you undo it, you'll find your installation manual. This is the operation manual, as well as the installation manual, as well as a Wi-Fi adapter that now comes with the new KX series. This is different from the KP series that was in 410A, where it didn't have Wi-Fi included. And now it actually comes with this Wi-Fi adapter that you can plug in into your control board. So here we have a 6,000 BTU KX one-way ceiling cassette, completely unpackaged. So you can see the louver here on the bottom just to give you a reference of what you're looking at, as well as the coil. And now as we spin it around, you'll see that it's very well insulated, both on the front end here, as well as on the sides. Here you have your electrical components, and you can see that you have these mounting brackets from where you suspend the unit. This is the top of the unit. Now you'll see it's completely metal. Now this unit can be completely serviced from the bottom, so you don't need any access from the top once it's already installed. On this side, you have your condensation as well as your refrigerant line connections. And so we get back to the front here with a full 360 view of this indoor unit. And on the side, you have this insulation here to prevent noise as well as to insulate the unit itself. The 6,000 BTU one-way ceiling cassette in the KX series is different build than 9,000, 12,000, 18,000, with the 6,000 BTU ceiling cassette being smaller in its size. So the 6,000 BTU that we have here on the table is 33 and 3/16 inches wide, 11 and 7/8 inches deep, and 7 and 11/16 inches high. So that's how deep you need to get into your actual ceiling. And so a lot of people have concern of clearance. Maybe you only have 12 inches. This unit will fit inside your ceiling. And this also fits traditionally within a 16 on-center joist. Now, those are the dimensions of the actual unit itself that goes into the ceiling. Now, once it's all said and done and it's completely installed, the grille, the decorative panel that goes over top of this particular ceiling cassette has different dimensions. That sits flush with your drywall, and that's what you see on a daily basis. And the dimensions of the decorative panel are 36 and 1/16 inches wide. You have 14 and 9/16 inches deep, and it's 1.5 inches tall of a panel. Now, the rest of the main specifications of this 6,000 BTU KX one-way ceiling cassette that are notable are that it operates with decibel levels between 29 and 37. Now, 29 being the quietest fan speed, and the loudest being the highest fan speed, which is at its highest rate, 37 decibels allowed. As well as this 6,000 BTU ceiling cassette is 25 pounds, and it uses 1/4 and 3/8 line set that you are going to be installing here and connecting to your outdoor unit. Now, something to note on the 6,000 BTU ceiling cassette is that it's a multi-zone ceiling cassette. It can only be installed with multi-zone outdoors. And this is not a one single zone application indoor unit. The single zone application indoor units are ranging from 9,000 BTUs to 18,000 BTUs. Now, something to notate is when you're unboxing this and you're getting ready to install this KX series, doesn't matter which BTU size, you're gonna have this louver here that's gonna be sticking out. So you wanna be careful, because if you mishandle it, you could break it. Another thing is that this center panel here, it's covered with styrofoam here, but underneath is actually your drain pan. So if you're mishandling it, you drop it by accident, you have to be careful, because you don't want this drain pan to crack, or you don't want anything to happen to it, so that you have a faulty unit in the future. Another thing to notice is when you're installing, you have this electrical box here, and when you unscrew it, you'll find the indoor unit's control panel. Now, the wireless receiver for Wi-Fi, this was first found in the accessories when unboxing the one-way ceiling cassette. This actually doesn't get installed inside this electrical box. It has to get installed in the ceiling or wherever you're installing this. And so this cable here has to be wired inside, and there's a little bit of a routing hole where you can route this cable through, and you plug it into the port on the control board called the CN110. Now, on the last video where we covered the KP one-way ceiling cassettes that was formerly in the 410A series, we got a lot of comments and a lot of people asking us, how do we clean these one-way ceiling cassettes? Now, obviously there's filters in the decorative panel or the grille that you can take out and you can wash, but it's common knowledge that these mini splits need to be washed from time to time in order to clean out the coil to make sure that you're getting the most efficient operation out of your indoor unit. Now, when you're installing this, obviously this is going to be flat on the ceiling, so this coil is pointing downward towards this drain pan. Now, when you're spraying whatever your chemical is that you're using to kill off all the gunk, most of it will fall into this drain pan, but you want to be prepared. You want to lay out something on your floor in case it misses the drain pan and falls down to your floor. You don't want to mess up your beautiful floors, but you can't get inside on the other side of the coil. Everything would have to be done from this exterior display of the coil, considering everything is serviceable from the bottom and not accessible from the top. We've had the question of what materials do we recommend in order to clean the coils of these one-way ceiling cassettes given the orientation of the drain pan. And our recommendation has been to use self-rinsing, disinfectant, deodorizing spray foam in order for it to penetrate through the coil and clean out all the gunk from both sides of the coil, draining down as much as possible into the drain pan. The last thing we want to notate about the KX series condensation mechanism is that it has a built-in condensation pump that gives rise of 19.6 inches if needed. So the way this works is we have this drain extension that we showed before. Now this side gets connected to the top of the KX one-way ceiling cassette, and if needed, it can go a total height of 19.6 inches if needed, or it can lay flat, whichever orientation is required for your application. Now, one thing to note is that pump can't be manually turned off. It will operate as needed. We've had questions where people have asked whether they can just completely get rid of the pump or turn it off. That pump is built in and will operate, and will have to operate, considering that the drain pan is closer to the bottom of the unit and you're not going to be able to pipe it any other way but using that pump. So now that we've covered the indoor ceiling cassette portion of the KX series, a one-way ceiling cassette, now we want to look at the decorative panel, or what we would call the grille. And so this is the packaging here. Once you open it, you'll see that there's styrofoam on both sides as well as a installation manual. And so when we pull this out, this one-way ceiling cassette is going to be completely covered in this plastic. And so now we'll completely uncover it and see what's inside. Now, when we unpackage all the plastic, this is exactly what you'd see. This is what you'd see from the room perspective. And on the back here, you'll see some hardware that's used in order to install this grille to the ceiling cassette itself, as well as you'll see the filters behind here. And when this is all said and done, this operates in conjunction with your indoor unit that's installed in your ceiling. Now, when we look at the decorative panel, or as we call it, the grille, we're able to access the filters by pressing these two tabs down, and you'll be able to take these filters out and wash them periodically, as you should. Now, on each side of this decorative panel, you have, if you pop this down and unscrew these screws here, you'll see that they open up, and this is where you're actually able to gain access to your flare connections for your line set, as well as your electrical components. And so these are able to come off as needed and then pop right back on and clip in and screw it back in as needed once you're done servicing. Now, the last thing we'll mention on this decorative panel is on the left-hand side. On my left-hand side, you have the emergency operation switch, and this is able to control modes as well as turning the unit on and off. Now, for specific instructions, see your operation manual. And here you have a little RF window so that the unit can communicate with your remote controller that's found in the room. Now, to go over the dimensions of this decorative panel of what you'd actually see in the room when looking at the unit once it's installed. For the 6,000 BTU, since it's a smaller unit in and of itself, is 36 1/16 wide. It's 14 9/16 deep, and really less than an inch of a panel that's actually seen from the bottom of the unit. But in total, the panel is 1.5 inches actually tall. Now, for your 9, 12, and 18,000 BTU one-way ceiling cassettes in the KX series, your decorative panel dimensions are going to be 47 1/4 inches long, 16 11/16 inches deep, and the same type of thickness, less than an inch visible from the actual outside that's flush with the drywall, and in total around 1 inch and 5/16 for the entirety of the height of the panel. Now, looking at the back side of this panel when installing it onto your one-way ceiling cassette that's installed in the ceiling, you have this rubbery sticky gasket that goes all the way around the perimeter of the decorative panel, as well as this insulating foamy gasket that is also around the supply area where the conditioned air comes out of. Now, when you're installing it, you want to make sure of two things. You want to make sure that this actually sits right where it needs to with the orientation of the ceiling cassette to make sure that it's sitting flush so that it's completely sealed, as well as you want to make sure that your one-way ceiling cassette is installed in the proper orientation so that there's lines here that indicate where the actual surface of the ceiling is supposed to be, so that this ceiling cassette will sit perfectly with the decorative panel, so that the decorative panel is sitting flush against the surface of the drywall in your room. So today we covered Mitsubishi's new KX one-way ceiling cassette series for the ceiling cassettes that can fit in most ceilings, whether it's for new builds or whether it's for retrofits. We hope that this one-way ceiling cassette is going to be a benefit to you. Now, if you have any questions about this particular style of indoor unit, or whether it's going to be a fit for your application, feel free to call us, email us, chat us, and just communicate with us so we can help you either size the system correctly or figure out whether this is going to be the right unit for you. Now, if you have any questions about sizing, or if you want to buy, you can go to gotductless.com, and there you're going to find mini split professionals that collectively have over 100 years of mini split experience, whether it's an installation, service, or wholesale. Now, if you like this video and the content within it, we really encourage you to subscribe to this channel. We cover all things Mitsubishi, all the new series that are coming out within the R454B refrigerant, and all things mini splits. So if it benefited you in any way, feel free to react to this video, comment, like, and we'll see you on the next video.